Film buff. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Film Buffering. I'm one of your hosts, Colter Harkins. I'm here today with Alex Tate, and welcoming back Andrew Johnson. Today we're talking about a great new movie, Infinite.
You're not crazy. You never have been. Do you find yourself drawn to places you've never been?
The visions you've had your entire life aren't hallucinations. They're memories.
You're talking about reincarnation.
The legend never die, you get reborn.
We call ourselves the Infinite. We remember skills from all our past lives. It takes 10,000 hours to master a skill. How good would you be after 1,000,000 hours?
Pretty damn good. What do I know that you need so bad?
That's why you're here, to find out.
We have fought one another for centuries. But you can't stop what's coming. The end of all things.
Is he blocked? Well. We're gonna have to reset your memory.
You gonna drown me? I got a thing about drowning.
Which is...
I don't like it.
You know what, man? I like you this time around.
Shut up and turn it on. That's perfectly normal.
Kill them all.
There's still time! Time! No more time!
Leap of faith time.
Did you see that?
The legend never die, you get reborn.
A man discovers that his hallucinations are actually visions from past lives. Starring Mark Wahlberg, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Sophie Cookson, Dylan O'Brien for a return appearance on our podcast, Jason Mantzoukas, Rupert Friend, Toby Jones, and some other fine folks. Directed by Antoine Fuqua. Well, it was a movie, but what did you think about it? Andrew, let's start with you.
It was a movie, yes, in length and other things.
What do you mean, Kenny?
The thing that struck me about this movie is that it was rated PG-13, and it just felt like a PG-13 movie. It's like a bunch of action sequences and like violence, but not really. It just felt like 13-year-old myself would be like, oh yeah, Mark Wahlberg and all this do car chases and whatever. But as an adult kind of person,
I'm 30 years old. I'm almost a full-grown man.
I don't know. Maybe we're just getting too picky, but it was pretty bad, I guess.
All right, Alex, what did you think about this one?
Oh, this movie was, okay, I think it was a cool concept. The idea of like a reincarnation, a continued story through reincarnation. I'm trying to think of a movie that's done that before. I'm sure there are, but I mean,
not to cut you off, but I just felt like it was like the antithesis of the old guard, which Netflix just did, where it was like people that live forever, and this is people that just continue to live multiple lives forever. So it was like this weird dichotomy of the people that have just continued to live the one life for so long, and the people that are continuing to live over and over and over again.
But Immortals have been done millions of times, like vampires and whatever. But I'm saying that reincarnation, I mean, A Dog's Journey or whatever, right? That's been...
There's A Dog's Life, to be honest. But
Dog's Purpose?
Dog's Purpose, I think that is actually the name of it.
But as far as like, I'm sure there are I'm sure there is a movie like that, but I'm trying to think of one. But anyway, I thought it was a cool concept. But yeah, beyond that, it was flaming.
Peter, you suck. Peter, you suck. Peter, you don't do anything of value. Peter, you suck.
I think Mark Wahlberg has been in some terrible movies at this point. He was that one where the plants killed everyone.
The Happening.
Oh yeah.
Oh man,
That was the worst Mark Wahlberg movie
Mark Wahlberg.
until maybe now. Although I still think The Happening wins.
Hello? My name is Elliot Moore. I'm just going to talk in a very positive manner, giving off good vibes. We're just here to use the bathroom. And then we're just gonna leave. I hope that's okay.
Yeah, I do think that The Happening had no redeeming qualities at all, which this movie was at least fun.
It was fun. It was fun, terrible, and we'll definitely dissect it. But it was I thought the concept was cool. There were some cool, like Andrew said, some like cool car chases and like all that was pretty cool. Not as good as a lot of movies, like car chases, even like Bourne and stuff like that. Bourne's some better car chases, and Town Rob and whatever. But it was like middle of the group car chase scenes and terrible acting, which is surprising for as good as the actors are.
Yeah, okay, I'll take over now. I think that it had the whisper of all the right elements. And then none of them were executed well enough to justify them. It was too much CGI in a way that it was like, hey, we're going to use these old school cars and have these cool sequences with these like 80s Ferraris to kick off the movie and this other cool car. And then he's going to just do like a 720 off of this bridge to gain speed, which makes no sense at all. It's like, why does 360 in your car the go-to move for jumping off something? That's the ultimate way to slow it down. But it just kicked it off right away with like, we're doing cool things, but then doing weird things to try to make it cooler than it is, and then just kind of diminishing it in the same moment by doing these things. And it was so frustrating because even the thing that got me right away, I was like, it started and I was like, oh, they're going to do a whole sequence with having a light flash before your eyes. I know it. And it was in two minutes into this movie, I felt that. And then halfway through the movie, they did it. And I was like, are you kidding me? I knew it. And I knew it the whole time, and they did it anyway.
I knew it.
Like, and then him, like, he has the cut on his leg that he just cauterizes with the cigarette lighter.
Oh, no,
I was
it was like right here.
They showed it multiple times. I'm pretty sure if you cut back to it, that it is on his leg, not on his abdomen.
You lose! Good day, sir!
But either way, it's this like 3-inch cut, and he's trying to use a little cigarette burner, which no car has anymore. I get it's in the 80s, but they're using this to cauterize a wound, and it's like, and they never show him like continuing to do it. He just does it like on one corner of his little wound.
Well,
it makes no sense. There are just so many things that they start off with to prove a point, and then don't do anything with. It is the ultimate like red herring of movies where they set up so many ideas and then do nothing with them.
Well, and that like makes absolutely no sense that they didn't find the egg. They had his body, right? He has a giant cut right here. And the last thing he says to them is, look inside. They're like, oh, what had happened to this cut? It looks like he also cauterized it. Oh, it feels weird right here. Like there's something metal.
Yeah, he cauterized at least one portion of that cut, so we should definitely not look.
I think like the way that this movie felt to me was just like it was one of those where like somebody had like cool action sequence ideas or cool like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if this ideas, and then they do them, and then as a viewer you're like, well, I'm gonna poke holes in this because that's stupid. Like there were so many moments like that throughout the movie.
Even the dialogue, I felt like that to me, where they're like, they just used a bunch of snippets of writing. Like when I try to write something and I'm like, oh, this is a cool idea, and then I don't ever continue writing the idea out.
Yeah.
They just use all the snippets to piece them together, which I literally wrote down a line because it was so ridiculous. The line when he shoots the guy with the crossbow and she says, we have easier way of doing things now. And then he responds with, newer, almost always, never means better. And I was like, what? Those are 3 different adjectives.
Almost always, never.
60% of the time, it works every time.
That doesn't make sense.
Oh man, yeah, it was that. It was a bunch of snippets of good ideas with no tangible connection, and like a stupid good budget for like this movie.
Yeah.
Like it's not like the graphics were bad or anything, or the acting was that bad based on what they had to work with. What they had to work with was bad.
Yeah. That was the thing that struck me throughout. I was just like, this looks expensive.
Yeah.
Mark Wahlberg, I have to say, was, again, maybe the script, but Mark Wahlberg was terrible in this. He like the voiceovers at the beginning and end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, is this Mark Wahlberg? Is this somebody else? I don't know who's doing. I think it was a different guy at first, and then it switched to Mark Wahlberg, but it was confusing.
Maybe
it was neither here nor there. It was very confusing as to who was talking.
Maybe it was Dylan O'Brien because of the like. It was Dylan O'Brien that turned to Mark Wahlberg, Maybe.
Yeah.
But it sounded like Mark Wahlberg showed up that day for the voiceover recording.
I was like, what are my lines?
The script. It just read them. It was freaking terrible. I was like,
yeah.
what is this terrible acting? And the girl was terrible. Again,
she's. I mean,
just the lines. Maybe the script
is
so bad.
I do think it was it was a script with a lot of ideas for lines that they never replaced with actual dialogue. It was like, we're trying to convey this, but then they didn't actually write dialogue and use that as subtext. They're like, well, we'll just go with that.
Why are you talking about a plan? We've never discussed like any plan, but you keep saying we have a plan.
I had like a general outline.
And it also there was like this weird like romantic tension between them, and they were always like standing like right next, like face to face. I don't know if you noticed, but like the giant like airplane hangar, and they're like standing like this
right
to each other. I was like, wait, is this gonna be a romance thing? Because she's like talking about her boyfriend that she like has gone through eternity with, but they're like.
Yeah, I was like,
but now he's on a computer chip.
Yeah, Sophie Cookson, which she was great in the
Kingsman.
Oh my gosh, Kingsman movies. Yeah, so she was awesome in those. And then this movie started, and I was like, she looks familiar. And then I had to look her up, and I was like, oh yeah, I liked her in other things. And then I'm watching her in this, and I don't appreciate what she's doing just because it was a weird affectation, or I don't know if it was a direction or whatever it was that they did with her. It just felt like they didn't utilize her when she's great in this type of role.
Well, she's great, and Mark Wahlberg's usually great. I mean,
yeah, it felt like a lot of like they just set him up to like work out and just like show
villain
like
dude,
how fit he was.
The villain dude, I can't remember his name.
Chiwetel Ejiofor. They just gave him like a bunch of like, what was his accent about at all? Like that made no sense.
But I'm saying he's a fantastic actor. Like
incredible actor.
But in this he was terrible. So I think maybe it was just like the terrible script, maybe really bad direction. I think my gosh, I'm cutting completely out of it. But based on my other favorite line in the movie was after they drown him to recreate
the life flashing before your eyes moment so exactly on the nose.
Big nose?
Don't you call my husband Big Nose?
Well, he has got a big nose.
Then the big bearded guy says, if you're Evan McCauley, then tell us where the egg is. It's like, oh, so that thing that we've been trying to do.
Yeah.
That's how he proves himself, by answering your question.
What if it hadn't worked? He wouldn't know.
So you would still not know. You can just say, so do you know where it is? You say, no, if you're Evan McCauley, tell us where the egg is.
So stupid. Also,
Our entire mission for this whole movie.
You should talk. Andrew, you haven't talked like it at all. You
Oh,
talk.
sorry.
Oh, sorry. Or I'm not sorry. Coulter's. Shut up. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, zip it. You can't even zip it. Zip.
I was way too into this movie.
It just
for how
felt
bad
like
was.
it felt like 100% aesthetics first.
Oh yeah.
Clearly, like, cinematography was dope, and I thought, you know, all the CGI and everything was good. It was really good. It was surprisingly good. And then, you know, they clearly had all these shots and stuff in mind, and then they're just like, yeah, just smack some dialogue in there between it and whatever. We'll get to where we're trying to get to. Like, I don't want to sit and just like poke at all the dumb and like extraneous scenes, but like the job interview scene, I'm like, this isn't even remotely realistic. And was just odd and awkward
And served no purpose.
and
in the
served
plot
no
of the
purpose. Like, clearly it's just
oh,
like
it sets up that he has
exposition.
schizophrenia,
Yeah, here's some
bipolar, or
exposition
whatever.
for you.
Yeah.
But even that, and geez, I don't know, and just like little things I noticed too. Like, there's a scene where he's giving the guy the sword to get his pills, and where a dude cocks his gun. And then the dude says something else to him, and he's like, yeah, and then he pulls the hammer on the gun back too. I'm like, the freaking hammer would already be back on the gun. Like, didn't they have somebody in charge of like firearms on this movie? I don't know.
We have John Wick. We know it can be done well.
Yeah, I know, right? And it's one person's job to be like, that's not realistic. Let's take a minute.
Also, when he walked into the like armory and there was like the big sniper rifle,
Yeah.
he like touched it and it went. I'm like,
yeah,
what?
Like a 50 cal that you have to like crank back. He's just like, ba-ba.
The reload motion. He just like touched the side of it, and it made like that sound like it was completely being reloaded.
But that's why it's a great PG-13 movie. Because if
yeah.
you're a little kid, you're just like, yeah, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, like, again, jumping around in the movie where they like start their assault, where they're trying to destroy the database of the souls or whatever you want to call it, and he's got the sword on his back and is just running around punching people. Like, shoot, I'm gonna punch you. And he's got a sword still on his back. Like, oh, the master swordsman is not gonna use the thing you can kill people with.
Also, are these like SWAT dudes? Are they like immortals too, or are they just hired by the rich guy? I mean, the like main bad guy, or because it didn't make any sense to me that it was like all these good guy souls, right, are trapped, and then there's like 2 or 3 bad guys, right?
Yeah,
and
like,
I love
all through time, and there's the like 2 different factions of people who feel how they feel about it. Why are there only 3 of the bad guys?
Yeah,
and
why are they winning?
And his justification for not wanting to come back is because he hates the 9 months he's in the womb and he's aware of things.
Day 171. I've sprouted another finger. Counting the one from yesterday, I'm up to 11. As the months of solitude passed, I began to go insane. It seemed my prison cell was getting smaller and smaller. I was quite sure that soon I would be dead.
Yeah, and why would anyone?
That was it. That was his only justification. He was like, I hate it. Feels like a prison. Like, so 9 months of your many thousands of years you've been alive.
And also, can we talk about how he wanted to not experience that anymore, right? So he was going to blow up the whole world with this egg thing. Did they ever explain how
this egg thing?
They didn't explain how that worked, but Also,
Nah.
Mark Wahlberg was in like a realistic virtual reality, which they also didn't explain how that worked.
Great shots of
reaching out for hands. Anyway, but then in order to stop that from happening, he shoots people with a bullet he invented that keeps them from reincarnating. So why wouldn't you just freaking shoot yourself with it?
Exactly.
That's an idea.
It's a good idea.
The only idea I liked in the movie was just the continuing the life type.
But they only did it once. Like, you could use that multiple times, maybe, but they only did it one time. They had one previous character. They kind of like, I mean, I guess they kind of showed clips of the previous, like the guy that made the swords that he learned how to make swords from.
Yeah, those little like.
But that was it. That was like.
And those were more interesting than the movie.
Yeah.
Like half-second clips.
It's like you go back to the Wolverine origin story where they're like, yeah, we're gonna have them fighting through all these different wars. And like, that's a great movie. No, that's gonna be the first 5 minutes of the movie, and then we're gonna have a really boring movie after that.
I think too, because like, yes, I understand the idea that because you've lived all these other lives, you've accumulated a bunch of knowledge, so you're some kind of super whatever. But like, does that also give you like super strength and powers and stuff? Because they would do incredible things that I'm like, does being aware of previous lives make you like superhuman? I wouldn't think so.
Yeah, that felt like that was a very unnecessary addition to the plot line of him being able to just driving the motorcycle off the cliff onto the airplane.
Yeah, but like that's a perfect example of like, so like what, you're able to do this because you are aware of your past lives, so gravity and
but you're the only one who's aware of it. But like, yeah, it was such an unnecessary addition to the movie for that one sequence where he takes advantage of it and kind of does but doesn't in the first sequence. It's like, it was, it didn't make any sense. It's like,
you know, when they were going to make the movie, they're like, oh dude, motorcycle onto a plane's wing, bro. Dude. The one thing too, like, this bugged the crap out of me is like, their bases were so easy to infiltrate. Like,
they were very wide open.
Like, you can just walk right in. Maybe that's the issue here with everything.
Like, yeah, like the guys just like flying in on their squirrel suits. Yeah, I was like, so they knew the whole time that this is where the base was, and they just chose not to infiltrate it.
They even asked.
It was like a throwback to Mortal Kombat with how bad they're like, oh yeah, well, now it's the time. We're just gonna infiltrate it because we knew where it was. So, and now we're doing it.
So stupid. Multiple, just effortless infiltrations, and then I loved when like the main bad guy and the faceless soldiers or whatever, like they all march into that room and just get totally shot up, killed, all of them killed, and then the two last guys are like, all right, let's go in there. What does the guy say? He's like, be careful. It's like, everyone died.
I walk on the wild side. I laugh in the face of danger.
I really think if they had just fleshed it out like a little bit more, like this could have been an actually pretty good, fun, action flick.
Yeah. Yeah, I think even like an Equilibrium has its own flaws, but they minimized them and maximized the strengths and just made a really good watchable movie. But this was definitely, that was a great concept, great actors, good director, and then they just were like, we don't need to fix the dialogue at all.
Yeah,
it'll work.
Well, and I feel like the scenes were weak too. Like, it wasn't just the dialogue, like, I agree the dialogue was bad, but also the scenes, they just had so many filler scenes that really just were trash. Like we talked about, like the interview, like that made no sense. The scene where he's like saves the girl from this evil drug dealer that was gonna cut her hand off for no reason. The scenes just they didn't add to the movie except for like little things like, okay, we find out he's really awesome with a sword, or
the weakest way to develop character.
But there's better ways of doing that like can make the movie flow and work better. And it just was like, And they could we talked about for a second. I think it would have been awesome, like to actually see his past lives a little bit and like make it a longer movie and actually like flesh it out. And like he's kind of like the what is it? The Pines, the Place Beyond the
Place Beyond the Pines. Yeah.
It's not, that wasn't like different, like the same life, but it was kind of cool how you like saw different lives like intersect with each other and then
how they affected each other.
Yeah, it was like it would have been cool to have that same sort of idea happen where you got to see Dylan O'Brien's character a little bit more, like before the Mexico car chase or whatever.
Yeah, definitely a bummer to introduce such a cool concept and to just be like, all right, but forget about that. Mark Wahlberg. Here you go.
Yeah, and it wasn't even like it was setting it up for sequels or prequels or anything. It was just like, yeah, this is what it is, and we're going with it.
Yeah.
It would have been cool if like his past lives gave him like, I don't know, like just flashbacks that gave him hints to where the egg was or whatever. But no, it's like, oh, I'm just gonna chop my leg or torso open. It's not even like a cool hiding place. It's just like, I don't know.
To throw in like one montage where it's like, you know, they could have done it when he was like at the training facility to be like, oh, so you were like a samurai here, so now you've got sword skills, and it shows that, and then him now, and then like that and now. Just to throw in like a little bit of that would have been.
Plus, that was like the only thing they highlighted, right, in his whole life was that he was a samurai.
Pretty much, yeah.
Like they showed you little clips, like flashes, not even like anything you could really see.
And it felt like
it would have been cool to be like, oh, you also were, you know, a garbage.
Yeah, and it felt like the only reason they did that was to justify him having a sword later on in the movie.
You have my sword.
Okay.
Well, we've got a lot of opinions on this movie, but I guess we got to wrap it up and rate it. Andrew, what are you giving it? How many thumbs out of 10? Final thoughts.
It had just a lot of awesome action. Okay, I'm not going to say awesome. It had a lot of decent action sequences and good CGI. Great actors, but it really fell flat with the script and didn't flow very well. Would definitely not watch it again and wouldn't really recommend it. I'll say 6 out of 10.
All right. Alex, what are your thoughts and how many thumbs out of 10 are you giving this?
I'm basically taking the same exact position as Andrew, except for I'm only giving it 4.
Hey! Shots fired. I will say, I do think as much as we trashed on this movie, I think it was very fun to watch. I think it was funny because you can take it in a lighthearted way. I think it was way too serious for itself.
Yeah.
And so based on that, I think it's it's palatable. It's not going to give you anything in any way other than like an escape for an hour and 40 minutes. I would give it, still saying that, I would give it 6 thumbs out of 10.
Jeez, it was not that good. Not a 6.
I'm just saying, I only give it a 6 because it's fun to watch. It's not painful to watch. You're not watching going, why? You're watching going, why?
That's true. That's true.
You could have done something better.
Oh man. What are we doing next?
Next up, we are doing a movie that I forgot already because this is what I do best, is forget what we're doing next. Next up, we are doing an Andrew selection, by the way. It is Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar.
Shadows falling, baby, we stand alone. Out on the street, anybody we got money comes along. And we got nothing to make you feel. I know, so many mountains near or home. We are, and we never let away.
Hey, Barb.
Yes, Star.
You know what I just love?
What?
Movie trailers.
Me too.
I like how they're little movies about another movie before a different movie.
Sometimes I find myself watching a trailer for a movie while I'm watching a totally different movie.
What? Me too. Barb, what if we had a movie?
What? Then we'd have to have a trailer.
Oh, yes, listen, I wouldn't want to give anything away, though, about the movie.
Me neither, especially our faces.
Gosh, I can almost see our trailer now.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. We love having you with us. We can't wait to see you next time. Have a good week. Bye-bye.
Well,
I'm never gonna get out of this town, am I, Gory? You can do anything you want, man. Yeah. Sure. Give me some skin. I'll see you. Not if I see you first.
Film buff.
Ring